In this lesson, we're going to work on multiplying decimals. When we begin, I first want you to just observe this pattern. When I multiply 7 times 8, I know I get 56. As this progresses, I add 1 decimal place to each number. This becomes 7/10 times 8, and I know that multiplication is kind of like repeated addition. So I can take 7/10 times 8 is like 7/10 plus 7/10 plus 7/10 plus 8 times. If I add it together that many times, it's going to be 5.6 or 5 6/10. So notice that to get from 7 to 7/10, I've divided by 10, and that means that 56 to 5.6 has been divided by 10, so that 1 decimal place is a division by 10. So as I progress and 7/10 is being multiplied by 8/10, both of these numbers have now been divided by 10, and 10 times 10 is 100. My answer 56 is now 56/100ths, which is 56 divided by 100. It's interesting. So to multiply decimals, you want to multiply as you normally would with integers. To correctly place the decimal point in the product, you count the number of decimal places in each factor, and then the product should have the same number of decimal places as the sum of the decimal places in the factors. So what that means is, 7/10 has 1 decimal place, 8/10 has 1 decimal place, and the product, 56/100ths, has 2 decimal places. 1 plus 1 is 2, and that's how many decimal places are in the answer. So if I had 6 times 1/10, well, that's going to be 1 times 6 is 6, 0 times 6 is 0. There is 1 decimal place in the problem within the factor, so there's 1 decimal place in the answer. So in decimal multiplication, we actually don't have to line up our decimal points like we do with addition and subtraction. And that's because multiplication is a more powerful, it's a more powerful operation than addition and subtraction. So we don't have to worry about it. It does it for us. So if I'm going to go through this, I'm just going to use the traditional algorithm and then count my decimal places within the problem to put them in my product. So I have 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18 plus that 1 is 19. 6 times 1 is 6 plus the 1 is 7. I have 0 ones here because I'm actually, or hundredths I guess, I'm multiplying the tenths place now. So I'm talking about how many tenths I have. So 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 1 is 3. Now I add them all together, that's 2, this is 15, that's 17, and 4. And I say I have 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places in my whole problem. So in my product, I put in 1, 2, 3, 4, and my answer is 4,752 10,000ths. There you go. Now, I have 1 in 25/100ths times 23. So again, the decimal places don't have to be lined up. We have a powerful operation here. It will take care of it for us. I have 15. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7, and 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 5 is 10. Remember that 0 is there. 2 times 2 is 4 plus that 1 is 5, and then 2 times 1 is 2. I add them, 5, 7, 8, and 2, and there are 2 decimal places in my factors, so there are 2 in my product, giving me an answer of 28 75/100ths. So here are just a few additional examples. I've thrown in some negative decimals just to make sure you're paying attention and following those rules. 2 times 4/100ths. We can just line it up as 2 times 4/100ths. Again, it's negative 2 times 4/100ths. 4 times 2 is 8. And then 0 is going to be 0. How many decimal places are there in the answer? Or in the factors, there are 2. There are 2 in the product, and the answer is negative. Signs are different. Answer is negative. In example B, it's a positive times a positive, so don't have to worry about that. I have 1 and 2/10ths times 1 and 6/10ths. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Come down, fill in that 0. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. I'm going to come off to the side to add these because I've run out of space. So that, I'll come over here. It's going to be 2. 7 plus 2 is 9. And then 1 is 1. I have 2 decimal places in my factors, so there will be 2 in my answer. 1 and 92 hundredths. Now I have a negative times a positive, so my answer will be negative. I can rewrite this 2 and 78 hundredths times 8 tenths. 8 times 8 is 64. 7 times 8 is 56. Plus 6 is going to be 62. And then that's 16 plus 6 is 22. 3 decimal places in my factors, so 3 decimal places in my product. Remembering it's a negative times a positive, so my product is negative. Lastly, I have a negative times a negative, so I don't have to worry about the sign because I know my answer is going to be positive. Signs are the same, answer is positive. So I have 3 and 84 hundredths times 9 tenths. 9 times 4 is 36. 9 times 8 is 72, plus 3 is 75. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 7 is 34. There are 3 decimal places, so I can put 3 decimal places in my product. Remember, a negative times a negative is a positive, so 3 and 456 thousandths is my product.